Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. This is Matt Russell. I am the founder of ProCents, and I am coming to you today very excited to introduce a friend of mine that was introduced to me by a colleague on our board, Otis McGregor, to Shelly Gibson. Shelly works for Transwold Business Advisors, and what she does is something that most people do not do. And if they do, they're probably not that good at it because they're not Shelly. I'm just going to say it that way. But I know a lot of our audience, they're business owners and looking to get out of their business. And maybe the next generation is not going to want to take on that business. But Shelly, I think, can help provide some insights of what you can start planning for in the next 3 to 5 years, and at least have a good conversation on what to do as next steps. So Shelly, please give a little bit more of an introduction on yourself, who you are and what you do, and a little bit more about Transwold Business Advisors.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Matt. So I'm Shelly Gibson. I am a business broker. It's Transworld Business Advisors.
Oh, my bad.
No worries. And what is a business broker? Well, I help people buy and sell businesses. I am licensed here in Georgia. I help the local business owners when they are ready to exit out of their business. Just think traditionally in the past, you think of business owners passing down their business to their children. Some do, but oftentimes the kids went off to medical school, or they want to do something completely different, or they don't live here and they don't want the business that their parents built for them for whatever reason. And if they've ran a good business and it's profitable, then it's less riskier for a buyer to buy their business versus starting one themselves. You've got an established business making cash flow, very appealing to buyers and how to invest their money.
Absolutely. Well, and that's awesome because, and this resonated with me because for those that have followed me in the ProCents story, y'all know that my dad was an electrician and he had his own business. But he said, work smarter, not harder. So I still support the trades, but I'm not in the trades. I'm not a licensed journeyman. I'm not a licensed plumber. But I do help facilitate the relationships to help make their business more profitable in bringing forth more sales and more business development. Shelly, on the other hand, she's going to help you if you're at that point and you've exhausted those things. She can help you move through that. Tell me a little bit about what it may look like for an early engagement with you if someone's looking to at least start to say, hey, I'm interested. What does that look like maybe in the first 90 days if they're looking to, say, hey, I'm interested in selling my business?
Yeah, absolutely. Meet with them. I like to always build a relationship with any potential clients. People need to, they need to know that they want to do business with you, that they like you, that you're going to do a good job for them. But really it's doing a free, I do a valuation, complimentary, and I just need their last 3 years tax returns, profit and loss statements. And I'd analyze their numbers and look at some comps in the marketplace and then get back with them and just give them the information. This would be the range that I would expect offers to come in at. This is what I would list it for. And if it's a number for them that they're comfortable with and they want to move forward, then we can move forward. If it's, okay, I want to wait another year, we'll keep the profit up. Not let, even if you sign with me, it's very important to keep the profitability of the business running, not letting your foot off the gas just because, you tend to see that when people are ready to retire, they do get tired. But the profitability would be very important to move forward.
All right. Well, that's great to know. And so when you're out there, you've had that first conversation of saying, hey, what are we going to do with the business? And you've looked at their analysis. What type of buyers are you soliciting, or is your organization going to help solicit for them? Is it other small business owners, or is it private equity? Because I think when we originally met, you talked about that. So some people, they have a connotation to go one way or the other. What are your thoughts?
It depends on so we're going to market to everybody, and then it's going to depend on the business and that owner and what I think might be the best fit for them and what they're looking for the next owner. But we are the largest business brokerage globally, so in the world. So we have a database of thousands and thousands of buyers. They can sign up for a buyer match in our system. So when a new listing hits our CRM system, if it meets the criteria that they've entered in, they get notified immediately. Hey, there's a new listing in Georgia, or maybe you can get buyers from all over looking at businesses. And then we do market them confidentially, but we market it across multiple platforms that all those other buyers will go to as well. So the database of buyers is there for us. We definitely have that kind of outreach. But sometimes if it's a specialty niche business, then I may reach out to similar business owners and cold calling them. Have you thought about growth and expansion? Sometimes that can be beneficial as well.
Yeah. Well, and it's one thing that I love about what you do is you're here in Georgia with me. And that local flavor, that local knowledge is very, very key to, I think, a lot of small businesses. So you understand what's going on in those markets. You also understand what's going on across the country. So I think that insight is going to help buyers or sellers, really help formulate the best vision for that. Can you give me an example of type of businesses that you like to work with? Because I think you've mentioned some of them, but for our audience, who are some of the people you like working with?
Yeah, I think some of those trades that you mentioned are really good. Plumbing companies, landscaping companies, electric companies, roofing companies, could be restoration business. Buyers like those kind of businesses, right? AI is not going to take over those industries. But yeah, it's cash flow. But those are usually the right size of the businesses that would need a business broker. Those are usually, and there's definitely buyers for those type of businesses.
Nice. That's great to hear. And for those that are looking at it and say, man, I want to have a conversation and I'm looking to get out a little bit quicker. Let's say they started today and y'all were able to come to an agreement of, hey, this is what we should expect your price to be. What's that time frame look like for start to finish as an average? Obviously, we're not going to hold you to it because circumstances change with every deal.
Yeah, the average time nationally it takes to sell a business is about 9 months, and there's different factors in that. There's depending on they may have interest in the business initially. By the time you get them, I do my initial screening with them before I move them into an in-person meeting with the owner for them to make the offer. If they're going through an SBA loan to get the business, that can add about 45 days to the process. It's not a quick turnaround, sometimes even longer. Different factors into that. I think my brokerage is probably more like 6 months, but nationally it takes about 9 months.
Okay. And you just mentioned the SBA loans. I've worked with some people that have gone out and applied for SBA loans, and that's not something you just walk into your bank and ready for. So do you have people that you might be able to recommend if they're looking to acquire an SBA loan? Obviously, that's going to be for someone looking to buy, not so much in the sell, but is that part of your network?
Yeah, absolutely. And even before I take a new listing to market, I will partner with some of my SBA partners and have them look at the business and say, would you fund it for this price? Do you think I'm looking at it the right way? And why is that important? Because if somebody wants to buy a business, usually they're going to need a loan. And the most common way to buy a business is the SBA loan. So the SBA is going to qualify the buyer, but they have to also qualify the business. So getting the business part covered, or at least, looked at by an SBA lender, there's no point in being able to price something that a bank won't fund.
Understood.
Right. So maybe a buyer may pay, let's just say $600,000 for a business because for whatever reason, but if the bank's only going to fund $300,000 because they're going to judge it off of the historic cash flow of the business, and they're going to weight the most recent tax return year the heaviest on that. So it's important to partner with them to make sure that that's something they think that they would fund with the qualified buyer.
Awesome. One thing that just popped to mind, a lot of people in the business world, whether you're analyzing a business, selling a business, buying businesses, a lot of people use this term EBITDA.
Mm-hmm.
And that is obviously a multiplier of what your business is. Within the trade space, obviously, you mentioned the trades, plumbing, roofing, and others. What is there a typical EBITDA that people might say, hey, this is our cash flow and this is what the evaluation might be? Or is it really better to just to get in there and look at the numbers and the business of where maybe it's at to see what that is?
Yeah, each business is going to be unique to that. So it's not saying that all plumbing companies are going to sell at $600,000. It's about the profit of the business. So yes, EBITDA is what you look at. But in the small business world, in addition to EBITDA, you're going to price it or pay off of what's called seller's discretionary earnings, SDE, which is EBITDA plus some owner benefits.
Okay.
And that's going to depend on your accountant and how you do your books, but it could be, owner's health insurance taken out through the business. Maybe they have their car payment through the business and you don't necessarily need a car for that business. We call them add backs, which is EBITDA plus the owner benefit.
Okay. Well, and those are great things for people to start thinking about, but, as they're looking to maybe sell their business or acquire a business, and what things are going to be either a value add or something that's going to be taken off, not as a detriment to the business, but just something that's not going to create any additional value. And that's one thing that I think a lot of people, we understand our business, and I think we're all experts where we're at. But for ProCents, we're about building stronger relationships and expanding opportunities. And for me, and knowing our audience, and generations that have owned certain trade businesses or looking to get out of them, or maybe not have that second or third generation coming into it, having someone like you and your organization in their Rolodex is, I think, key. Are there, obviously you said you're the largest in this space. That's awesome. But here locally, we like providing a full on real world experience of just, having a handshake agreement. And if somebody wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, cell phone or email. So my email, I'm Shelly Gibson. So it's sgibson@T as in Tom, tworld.com.
Okay.
My cell phone number is 678-978-9514. You can go to our website. There's a couple different Transworlds in the Atlanta metro market. I'm part of Transworld Atlanta Peachtree. You could also find our contact information on there as well.
Awesome. Well, and that's really, really important for everybody is to know where they go, and have that first step. And I think your time just to be able to come on here and share a little bit about what you do and, what people should look for before, going too far, is reach out to a professional that understands the space, that can help you get on the right path. And especially the largest in the world. So yes. That's pretty amazing. So is there any one other trick or anything that, people might want to look forward to? If not, we can close this out. But I was just like, I remember when our first conversation, I was like, man, I walked away with so much great information. I was so excited to get you on this so I could share it with our audience. But is there any one last tip or trick that you might have for people?
Yeah, I mean, for business owners, it's when it comes time to sell, it's going to be the bottom line profitability number. Like I said, there's going to be some of those expenses we can add back. So partner with your CPA on that. Some small business owners may not report their cash. Still, I would say do that because you want to get the profitability on paper. You want to think about removing yourself from the business in a sense. Can you take 3 weeks vacation every year, maybe more? That's a really good sign that your business can run without you. So it doesn't mean that the owner is not involved in the business, but it's important that the owner isn't the business. So have that manager, whatever that looks like in each business, in place. That's a big thing. Buyers, one of the first questions they ask me, besides the profitability of the numbers, what's the owner's everyday involvement? Okay.
Awesome. Well, and that's a great way to finish it out, is because owners of your spending too much time in your business, it's going to be hard to get out of your business. So think about
Exactly.
that before you make a call. Shelly, I want to say thank you so much for your time. And to our audience, thank you so much for watching this. And put it on repeat, put it in your favorites so you can come back, so you can find Shelly when you're ready to start engaging about selling your business or even acquiring a business. Let's start with Shelly and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
So one thing I'd like to do, as we do with all of our shows, is we'd like to end it with just kind of our ProCents model. As we close out our show, we want to continue to build our culture. To all of our current and future members, remember that success is being consistent. And at ProCents, we believe in the power of connections. So always stay network focused, because your network is your net worth. So thank you so much. And we'll see you on the next Inside ProCents.
All right.
Shelly? Uh-oh. Let's see. What the hell?